Bungie finally dropped their gameplay reveal of Marathon, their next first-person, like 16 to 18 player extraction shooter, and I'm not going to be going through the trailer or anything like that, giving you a deep dive, because there are hundreds of videos like that. What I want to talk about today is the apparent hate towards games like this, towards people wanting games to fail. And you know what? For the sake of Marathon, this could go either way, in my opinion. This could be a game that is wildly successful for the first few weeks and drops because it came out not even hours after this gameplay reveal, and I really feel like this is a huge problem for a game Bungie wants to be a live service secondary to Destiny, right? They want another huge cash cow to rake in tons of money as they're also developing Destiny 2 and maybe other projects. This game will only have 3 maps at launch, with a 4th one coming after. And that's insane to me that Bungie is okay with releasing a first-person shooter live service title with 3 maps. And like every single other first-person shooter live service title, it'll also be introducing a battle pass system, which of course it will. And Bungie said that it would be coming at a premium price, because Marathon is a premium game. And this is the part of the live service industry today that I see why people want games like Marathon to fail. They want it to fail because developers are giving us less and less content. Halo Infinite released, and that game released a mess. It released with almost over double the maps, and that's not even that well to say. I think it released with 8 or 9 maps at launch, and that is a game that thrives on its sandbox and on its just uniqueness of each level and of each design of each map. And Bungie is out here saying, hey look, we're gonna charge you unlike what Halo did, and we're gonna give you half the content, and we're not even gonna be giving you like a bunch of different modes, because to my understanding right now, all they have is an extraction shooter. That's what this is. And it blows my mind that Bungie is okay with releasing a first-person shooter extraction shooter that only has 3 maps. And it just sounds really stupid. Bungie has also announced that Marathon will not have a proximity chat because it would be way too toxic. Someone stated, I don't think anyone has a good solution to that just yet. See, gamers figured this out years ago. It's called a toggle. If you want the game chat proximity on, you turn it on. If you want it off, you turn it off. It shouldn't be this difficult, and completely destroying it for anyone who may want that option to have proximity chat on, either to talk with random people or even to shit talk if they just want to have fun with it. Let them do that. Why are we catering to the babies of the gaming community that can't handle being yelled at, or just not being able to turn off the toggle for the chat? Why do we have to cater to those people? Why can't we give options? So we have arguments that are made that, look, it's another first-person shooter extraction game, a live service title that have come after so many other first-person shooters have failed in recent memory, and unfortunately enough, the first game that came to mind when I saw the Marathon trailer was Concord. And what really sucks for this game is that it has less content, hopefully not less characters or less skins and designs, but it inherently has less maps. I'm pretty sure Concord released with about 7 or 8 maps. The problem, and actually kind of a benefit here, is that it's behind Bungie. And Sony isn't really going to be letting Bungie fumble this one as much as Concord did, but there's definitely a huge issue here with Bungie's recent reputation when it comes to Destiny 2 and when it comes to a bunch of other things that they have been known for doing. There's been a lot of problems relating to the company with monetization, with vaulting content that people have paid for, and with tons of other stuff. And I've seen people online say that the entire Bungie community, the entire Destiny community, is going to be rallying behind this game to support it because it's Marathon, because it's this decades-old IP that people love and that people can't wait to experience. Now, unfortunately for Bungie, for Destiny, and for Marathon, in our current day industry, people really base their wanting of a game off of first expectations. And at least in my opinion, this trailer did not sell me on the game. It had some interesting marketing tactics, some really cool little bits of like visual effects that I actually did like, but the gameplay looks so boring. I'm sorry. It looks copy-paste from Destiny. It does. It looks like I've played the game before, just reskinned, and you don't want that to happen. You don't want a first-person shooter that just looks reskinned from another video game. And we're also in an industry where when Bungie comes out with a brand new first-person shooter, they have to really wow us, and unfortunately, the trailer did not wow me, and it did not wow a lot of other people. I've seen so many people on social media criticizing how Marathon looks, how it could fail, and there are people, of course, who are going to be defending it, saying how it could succeed. And don't get me wrong, Marathon could be be a banger. It could release and just capture the gaming industry by storm, and it could be an absolutely huge game for PlayStation and Bungie, really just reiterating that yes, they can make a live service video game that can stand the test of time compared to other live service titles created by the rest of the industry that are still succeeding to this day, like Minecraft, Fortnite, GTA Online, Destiny 2 for example, and tons of other video games. But what I see happening here is unfortunately a tale as old as time. I see the game launching in a good state, but in a state with so little content, no one will stick around to see Bungie update the game. No one's gonna stick around for 6 months to see what they add. They need to hit the amount of content right on the dot, right at launch. We've seen this strategic launch of releasing a minimal amount of content early to try to grow a fan base over time fail so many times. Halo Infinite tried this. They released the campaign in a pretty decent state, and the multiplayer as well in a neatly polished state. The problem is that the amount of content that was offered to us and the amount of unlockable content as well was so little, people abandoned the game quickly. And Halo Infinite right now has tons of cosmetics to unlock, tons of modes to play, and no one wants to go back to it because no one was going to stick around and wait for 2 years or even 6 months to return to a video game that they already brushed off. The same thing is going to happen to Marathon. The same thing happened to other live service titles, Anthem, Red Dead Online, and I can even keep going. Marvel's Avengers. You can release decent polished games and maybe even broken games. Fallout 76 for one is an example I will scream to the very heavens. That game launched in one of the worst states ever, and it still has a dedicated fan base. But the chances of a live service game to release in such a poor state like Fallout 76 did, and to still have a solid fan base 7 years later, is like 1 in a million. And I don't think that's going to happen with Marathon, and that's just the way I see Marathon moving. Now, I could be completely wrong and talking out of my ass, which I probably am, and this game releases to success, people stick around, the gameplay loop is just so fun. They don't care that it's only 3 maps with a 4th one on the way. They don't care if they have to spend money for the game on base and then also purchase a battle pass if they want any cosmetic skins. They don't care. They just want to have a fun Bungie first-person shooter, extraction shooter experience, and they're willing to wait for updated content. The problem now is that you have competitors in the industry that are releasing content at a faster rate. Marvel Rivals has been releasing one new hero, or has announced that they're releasing one new hero per month. They have been decimating the rest of the live service industry to the point where they're still garnering hundreds of thousands of players per day coming into their game. So not only do you have to compete with other first-person shooters in the live service genre, but you also have to compete with other massive live service titles as well. And unfortunately enough, Marvel Rivals has showed to these other developers, look, y'all gotta start getting to work, because you can't compete with us when we will funnel in more resources than you can afford, and we can do it at a faster rate and at a higher quality and still offer an amazing gameplay experience to our players at launch. I don't want any video game to fail, and I'm sure that if you're a normal person who just wants to be able to play a fun, enjoyable video game, you don't want to see games like Marathon fail as well. You'd rather see these games succeed, have amazing launches, tons of content, and be worth every single dollar that you put in. Unfortunately, we'll always have those types of cynical people that expect games to fail, and Marathon is going to be one of those titles that could be the flip of a coin. It could be a massive success for Sony and PlayStation to the Helldivers 2 scale, or it could be a flop at the scale of Concord. Now, in my opinion, I feel like it's leaning towards a Concord level failure. Not because it looks like DEI garbage, but because of the lack of content, and that you're releasing an extraction shooter in a day and age where hero shooters are on the rise again after Marvel Rivals, and where Battle Royale still dominates the live service genre. Now, Bungie could be the ones to bring back the FPS live service extraction shooter genre, and I would love to see that happen, but only time will tell. Thank you all for watching this video. If you did enjoy, consider leaving a like, sharing, commenting, and subscribing if you so choose to. Thank you all for watching once again, and I'll see you guys in the next video.